All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of The Process. And this episode is part 2 of a 12-part series, season 1. And this episode is called The Crossroads, which is kind of where my intent was for it to be kind of like that point where you're like, all right, I'm doing this. Or I guess maybe it's not I'm doing this, but it's like where you make that decision. You're like, okay, this is a thing or this is just gonna be a hobby, basically. So I'm here with Matt Miller with Back 40 Barbecue again.
What's up, everybody?
And as always, we're recording here in T1 Entertainment with Tone working the sound effects and whatnot. So yes, it's been initiated. But okay, so just to kind of reintroduce folks on what we're talking about when we're talking about the process. So the question small business owners, I think, a lot of times ask is, how do I actually do it? How do other people do it and succeed? What does this look like? My hope with this series is to kind of lift the veil and help people see what the process is like. And because it might not be, I think so many people think about how complicated things are. Just any process, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got into real estate because I wanted to help people through the daunting process of buying a home or starting a business. And it's kind of like, it's a scary thing until you're in it, and then it's still kind of scary. But I think that what we talked about the last podcast was you just got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do it, then you're always going to wonder. And a lot of times, if you just jump in and do it, you might realize it's not quite as complicated as you thought it was.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going with episode 2. So the Crossroads. So that was my purpose of the process. I'm going through over my outline. Like, this is what I was trying to accomplish with this episode. So I'm going to reintroduce Matt Miller. So Matt Miller is the founder of Back 40 Barbecue.
Yes,
And last episode we talked about kind of like your beginnings and your why and the dream of barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And we got up to where you spent 15 grand on a smoker without telling your wife.
Don't do that, folks. Don't do that.
So now let's talk a little bit about, it'll be 2 winters ago this winter, when you kind of said, okay, I'm quitting my job. I mean, what did that feel like, and what was that like for you?
So it was more out of desperation, I think, for me than anything, because obviously I had this newfound passion. Love to barbecue. I just love to help to make people happy. And a lot of my core memories, I mean, if you've ever seen me before, I'm not a small man. So it's one of those things where a lot of my core memories are food based. I definitely have, like,
I'm right there with you, dude. I think that's a lot of people.
But it's very much like deeply embedded in me and my soul. Like, I associate memories with smell, with taste, with music. When you're, I think music stopped being fun after 1997 because I graduated in 1997. Now I'm an old curmudgeon. No, I'm just playing. But it's just one of those things where, like, I did it out of desperation. I was so unhappy doing what I was doing and coming home and being miserable. And if you're on the outside looking into what my life is I've got an incredible wife. I have 3 amazing kids, a beautiful home in a great neighborhood with great neighbors. And you would be like, how on earth could you possibly be unhappy? Right. But the thing is when you're doing something that you don't find a purpose in, the purpose, but you go to work every day, and the only thing that you're worried about is making it through the day until it's time to go home. Right. And I'd felt that way for a while. And it was one of those things where, I think buying that smoker, don't do that again, folks. Please don't do that without consulting your wife, but I think that was almost a way to force the issue for me to, well, it's going to happen. Because the thing is if you're going to open up a business and you're considering it and you're doing something else and you've done that something else for a long time, the scariest thing is taking that jump. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like I'm a wuss, so my wife's jumped out of planes and stuff. She's crazy, but I always played things safe, right? That's like I said before. I think trust. The devil is feels like it's better than the devil you don't. But I think if you're going to do something great or extraordinary in your life, you've got to be willing to take the leap. And it was the scariest thing ever because I hadn't had a job hadn't had an interview for a job in 20 years. I hadn't had to do anything different. I'll remember my team member number for the rest of my life. Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I just need to do this. I need to do this for me. I need to do it for the sanity of myself, for the happiness of my family. I need to do something that I've, in the back of my mind, always wanted to do something in food. When I was 18 years old, I had a friend, and we joked around that we were going to open up a sports bar called the Pink Flamingo. Might have been the dumbest name ever for a sports bar. And it had no outlook. We had no plan. It was just that we wanted to do that. And that stuff kind of goes off. And
I mean, our mutual friend, Zach. I think that Zach and I, we've known each other since high school, and I think probably there have been probably at least 2 or 3 times throughout our 20s where we did the exact. We're like, oh man, we need to open a restaurant. Yeah, we did because we were both, Zach, we're both lovers of food.
Yes.
Yeah. And so yeah.
100%.
Do you think? And I do have an opinion about this.
Okay.
Do you think that this was a burn the boats moment for you?
Yeah.
You know how they say burn the boats?
100%. It was all in.
Okay.
For me, it was all in because the thing is like just my personality.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever do anything, it's all in.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a 4-pound hamburger in front of me, bro, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
If I have to, go on some crazy extreme diet, at one point, I lost 81 pounds in 19 weeks, bro.
Dang.
And then I gained it all back.
That happens.
That's life.
Yeah.
But it's one of that's just my personality is like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Can I curse?
Oh yeah.
I just want to make sure that this isn't.
I'm not.
This isn't on the Disney Network
we aren't
or
gonna.
anything.
We aren't gonna be throwing out F-bombs left and right. But when it means something, hit it.
And it's like
Get ready, everybody. He's gonna do it.
I completely forgot it, so maybe I won't. Maybe I will.
Well, fuck, dude. Come on.
No, it's just one of those things where it was like, I got to do this shit. Like I can't be okay. I can't half-ass stuff.
Right.
Like I. That doesn't mean that I pick and choose,
mm-hmm.
right? But that's just my personality. Is like if I want something or I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. I don't
mm-hmm.
give a damn what anybody says, which right, wrong, or indifferent is just how I'm wired.
Sure. Now, and the reason I asked that, and I would, and this is something that I kind of want to go back to. So when people listen now, I would say it was a burn the boats moment for you in that you went all in
mm-hmm.
and you quit your job and you're like, game on.
Yep.
Right. What I would also say though is, and we talked about this in last episode, you had that support system.
100%.
You had a spouse who works full time
Yep.
and is making some money.
Yep.
You had a great support system of friends
Still do.
that you
Yep.
could, not take advantage of them, but you could count on them for that support.
Right.
Word of mouth and things like that.
Correct.
And that's kind of something that, like, when I started in real estate, my wife had a full-time job, and, we were actually, I'm in the National Guard, and we actually still get benefits through me being in the National Guard. But at first we thought, before we discovered the amazing thing that TRICARE is, we thought that we were going to do all our benefits through her because I wasn't going to get any benefits.
Right.
And so what I will say to folks out there is I think the burn the boats concept is something that people do out of desperation. I'm going to put myself in a desperate situation.
Yes.
And therefore I will be successful. And a lot of times I feel like, especially as a realtor starting out, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want people to feel your desperation.
Right. Oh,
You don't want to
yes.
stink of desperation, like you
No.
need a deal so bad.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of you probably have had that too, where you're like, I don't want to act too eager. I would
100%.
like to get this deal. I would like to get, I don't want to be too eager on that.
Yeah.
And so I think that, mentally burn the boats as in being all in
Yes.
on something. But at the same time, I also think that burn the boats can be a negative thing. We talk about so much and we hear it we've listened to podcasts and we've heard different influencers talk about, oh, burn the boats, it's going to make you successful.
Right.
I would argue that it makes you desperate.
Correct.
I think there needs to be that. I think the stakes need to be high,
Yes.
but I don't want you to I don't want anybody to be working out of desperation, because then I think that actually might work against what your goals are sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
Because especially if you work with people.
Yes.
If you're starting your own, I don't know, something in IT, and you're making Excel spreadsheets all day and you're not dealing with people, maybe okay, you can, but I think when you're in a service industry like we both are, and you're working with people, you got to be careful about the mindset you're going into. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So that's kind of where I thought about with that burn the boats kind of concept. Yeah. So,
No, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
but so we went back to, and I remember I was invited to your party the day you quit Target.
Yes.
I did not go because I had something going on, but I remember. So what was that like? That night, like when the party? Maybe not actually the day, because I feel like that was kind of like all your friends and family were like there to like send you off in another boat.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%. And that's the thing, like, and I won't get into the day because it was a hard day.
I bet.
It was, you do the same thing.
And you're
forever.
going to, as somebody that's worked in any place for 20 plus years, you're going to have some emotions about that.
100%.
It's not, you aren't like, this place, I'm out of here. See ya, F you, F you, F you. You're cool,
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that, right?
Great.
You're going to
great
have,
movie, by the way.
yeah, that is, not the movie, the episode, Half Baked. Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So, it was one of those things where like I said, I was done, and I was getting ready to punch out, and I got called up front, and my wife and my kids had this big sign said, "Congratulations, Daddy, leaving Target, back 40 barbecue." The whole thing, they signed it. They all hugged me.
Oh, I love it.
Bawled.
I'm
Bawled.
sure.
It was terrible. Like, I was ugly crying. So I punch out, I leave, and sitting right next to my truck is my friend Dave that I was talking about, in the last episode. And he had a tall boy, a Miller High Life. That's kind of our thing, right? And he's like, "Man, I know this is a hard day." He gave me a big hug, and he's like, "Let's get after it." So I just chugged this freaking Miller High Life out in the parking lot of Target. And I'm just like, here we go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
it.
It was like,
I love it.
It was kind of like christening the boat.
Yeah, right. So now, and I feel like we've hit on the passionate aspect of this.
Yeah.
But did you do any, and it's okay if you didn't, but did you do any like market research?
Nope.
Or did you? Yep.
Nope. I knew exactly what you were going to ask. Like I said, I think that and I don't necessarily recommend anybody in the world doing things the way that I necessarily did them, because the thing is like we said, burn the boats, and it can be good or it can be bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely things that I did that were more out of desperation than were out of well thought, purposefully executed things.
Also out of passion and love, though.
Yes, 100%. Well, that's the thing, is you
Yeah.
can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
I think that I've always looked at it as, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it my everything that I have. It's going to work. Like there hasn't been very many moments where I was like, oh shit, what did I do?
Right.
You're going to have those on occasion, because
Sure.
it's like, you're like, oh my God, things are a little tight this month, and we didn't have as many gigs this month, and yada yada yada. But the thing is, and I have to bring it all back around and be like, dude, you haven't even been doing this 2 years yet.
How about this then? Instead of, you didn't do any research, but what did you like make enough? Like, did you have like one like really great month where you were like,
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're like,
Yes.
oh, and you kind of weigh it out. You're like, oh, this,
Yes.
when, like, what did that feel like? And like,
So it would have been June of last year. Would have been that kind of wow, because I officially incorporated April 1st of 2023. My last day at Target would have been the 21st of that month. And then, it was, I'm not gonna lie, there was definitely a lot of oh shit moments, cause you're like, oh, okay. My first real big thing would have been the Marion Barbecue Rendezvous at Lau Park in Marion.
yeah, that just happened. That you're talking about the one that just happened?
The one that previous
one before
year.
that.
That was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
very
yeah.
first
Yep.
year that I was there. And they had it at Lau Park. And that was definitely a big moment in more than one way. Because first of all, I didn't have a food trailer. I'm running out of this rickety ass tent with tables and running generators with my friends, right? And I had my smoker out there. I had the Viola Rose. My shout out to my grandmothers, rest their souls, that my smoker is named after my grandmothers.
I love it.
So my grandma Viola and my grandma Rose. So, we're out there and it's just hustle. It's just straight hustle. And it was just a kind of a freak thing that people in barbecue and people in Iowa are going to know the name Thyron Matthews.
I was just gonna bring him up.
Yes. Who won Barbecue Showdown on Netflix.
If you wanna binge on a really great show, here, real quick. I'm gonna plug this show because I love it. So first off, who watches the Great British Baking Show?
I have.
I know I've got my wife binges that thing like crazy, and so I've definitely watched more of them. And it's okay if you're a guy and you watch the British Baking Show. Okay,
Absolutely.
That's okay. It's okay.
We
But
all
this is
like
what
baked
I'll
goods.
say. And I think the thing that I always love about that show is everybody's so supportive. They're also all supportive of each other. Well, Netflix came up with, I feel like, and it's, again, I feel like baking girls, barbecue guys, very traditional. So don't worry, girls can enjoy the barbecue show too. But I feel like this was the guys' version of the Great British Bake Off, and it was the Barbecue Showdown on Netflix. And they've got 2 seasons now.
3.
Oh, they've got 3?
They got the third. Thyron won the second
Oh,
season.
no, you're right, because I did watch that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Because that
yep.
one gal from Texas won the 3rd one. But
Spoiler alert.
sorry. Oh man. It's still great. It's still great to watch.
I'll
But
play it.
Tone got me there. Well played, sir. Well played.
Got it.
But yeah, so one of the competitors in season 2, which we've already given away, but his name's Thyron. What's his last name?
Matthews.
Thyron Matthews, and he is out of Iowa.
Out of Old Wine, yes, sir.
Out of Old Wine. And so when I was watching that, I was like, oh my gosh, Iowa's representing. I was just happy to see Iowa represented in the barbecue
period,
showdown.
right?
And then spoilers, he freaking
Wins-
won the whole
wins the
dang
frickin' thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Zach told me that he had reached out to you and you went down to Memphis with him and worked on his team at competition, or it was just a.
So it's a barbecue competition. So the biggest one that's kind of in Memphis is known as Memphis in May, one of the most famous, prestigious barbecue competitions in the world. There's a new one that kind of sprouted from that called Smoke Slam, and one of the main contributors to that and kind of the brain behind a lot of that is Melissa Cookston, who is one of the judges on the Barbecue Showdown. Just absolute legend, winningest woman in the history of barbecue. I mean, she's incredible. But so we went there, and he was kind of a celebrity cook. And him as well as the season 2 runner up, were both up on stage giving out the awards and stuff like that. It was the biggest prize in the history of barbecue competitions. $250,000 was the purse for the whole thing. The winner won $50,000. So, big deal. And we were basically, he invited myself as well as Khalil Word from Word Brothers Barbecue out of Nashville, Tennessee, and then Rick Farmer from the Meat Stall Barbecue out of San Diego, California. And then he literally asked me the first time I ever met him, which is there's things that happen to you in your life that are beyond special.
He'd
And
already won.
he had already won, but
Yeah.
it had just been released probably less than a month maybe before this
Right.
barbecue rendezvous, because it's always the first Saturday in June.
Mm-hmm.
And then they announced that he was going to be at this thing. So he was two rigs down from mine. So there was somebody in between the two of us. Kevin from Charboom. Give a shout out to Kevin. But so yeah, Thyron from TNT Barbecue was there. And, you know, I, of course, was a goofball, and I'm very over exuberant. And so I spent like 38 hours straight awake. I was there all night cooking, getting my stuff together. And he pulled his rig up, and I was totally fanboying him. Like, it was terrible. I'm
Hit your the thing. He's gonna. All right, we'll go with that. No, that was and for those of you that don't, whenever we do one of those little noise, we might just stick with that one just because we've kind of started with it. So an epiphany, and something that I think is very relatable universally. There you go.
Ooh.
Through universally relatable in small business is collaboration, not competition.
Yes.
And we talked about that on Tone and I were on Lucas Barrington's podcast, Whiskey and Real Estate, a couple weeks ago, and we talked about collaboration on that one. I think that if you are a business owner and you go into a mindset of people that have maybe not the exact, even if they have the exact same business, but maybe people who have businesses that may take away from your business, that, you know, that's a potential. I think some people go in with an idea of their competition. I think that the best, me personally, the best way to go into any business is from a mindset of plentiful. There's enough for everybody. Everybody can eat, and not a place of scarcity.
Right.
And that is one way where if you go into something in the spirit of collaboration and support and networking, you end up finding mentors, finding friends, finding people that might support you when you need that group. And I just think that collaboration, not competition, that's a really good takeaway from that story that you're telling right now.
100%. And that's the thing is what started out as just a chance meeting turned into just so much more. So he came over, obviously before we even started, I fanboyed him, and I went up and I dabbed him up and, asked for a picture, and we kind of chatted a little bit. And then later on in the day, I mean, he's so present on social media. But he doesn't know me from anybody. And he came over and he was doing like an Instagram live, and he wanted to promote me. And I'm like, I met you for 5 minutes this morning, and he's coming over, and like he commented on how my smoker, because I think my smoker's cool as hell. So
Well, it's made in Texas.
It cooks well. It looks good. It feels good. Shout out to A&P Smokers. You guys rock. But so he came over, and then he had stopped by later. He's like, I want to try some of your food. And he got some ribs. And he came over to me and he goes, man, I got to tell you. He's like, brother, I got to tell you, those ribs, they're a 9 out of 10. Nice. He's like, and the only thing that kept you from being a 10 out of 10 is you didn't cut them damn things. So, me not knowing, you don't know what you don't know. Me and my team, if somebody ordered a half slab, they were getting 6 ribs and they were still together. And I was like, yeah, it's probably a little easier when you're at something like this if you cut them.
Yeah.
Going forward, baby, we cut them ribs. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where it's like, I am not ever gonna take somebody's advice and be like, man, you're full of shit. I'm gonna look at it and be like, okay, how can I get better from this? And that day, he's like, your stuff is so good. He's like, I want your phone number. He's like, I'm thinking about doing something in Memphis, maybe Memphis in May. At the time, it was going to be Memphis in May. There was really no talk about the Smoke Slam thing. And he was like, I want you on my team. Are you in? I met you 8 seconds ago. Hell yeah, I'm in. I don't care. I mean, who knows? He could have murder me and throw me in the trunk for all I know. But he is just a genuinely sweet guy, and he's my brother.
Oh,
Like, he's my brother.
You
like,
watch him. You watch that season.
love him.
Season 2. And well,
Yes.
again, that's what I love about the shows. Everybody's just so supportive anyway. But like, yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that story, and I remember when Zach told me about that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is really legit. This is getting big.
Yeah.
Now, you did not. Let's talk a little bit about. So we've talked about you quitting.
Yep.
Got your catering going.
Yep.
You're going to events.
Yep.
Next step was
Food trailer.
food truck. Tell me about before you just, so spoilers, he has a food truck.
I do.
But just how did you go from I got my $15,000 smoker
Yep.
that I can do damage with
Yep.
this baby.
Yes, sir.
How did you go from that to okay, it's time to do the food truck?
So, like I said, I've had a lot of moments in my life where things just kind of came together, and this kind of ended up being one of them because I really didn't think that it was going to be in the cards as quickly as what it ended up being.
I kind of thought the same thing when you
Yeah.
told me that you were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing is when I was at Target for the time that I was, and it stopped I think shortly after I left, but there was a pension that was involved, and Target paid for my food truck, buddy. So
See, told you we weren't going to be bad. It's okay to mention Target because we are not bad mouthing Target.
but basically, yeah, like so there's a gentleman in Manchester named Wayne Timmerman, and he was running a food trailer called Foods Here. And my dad had talked about it, and he kind of told me through the grapevine that Wayne was looking to get out of it, not retire, but it's a lot of work. It's hard, and he was kind of looking to do something a little bit different. So Dad would kind of give me updates and this, that, and the other, and so finally it got to that time, and my dad had given my phone number to Wayne, and we kind of started communicating back and forth, and he's like, there are other people interested, yada yada yada, and so we kind of talked it out, and we were able to negotiate a fair price, and so I actually went and I worked on his food truck, I think like 3 times, leading up to him being done right kind of before Halloween.
Was it fun for you?
Oh my
You
God.
weren't making your own food. You were doing somebody else's food.
Correct.
But was it fun?
I'll tell you what, like, there's a lot of people who start out flipping burgers and try to get out of doing it. I left doing other stuff to go flip burgers, baby.
I will say this, and I come from I've been a bar back, I've been a bartender, I've been a cook to the extent of where I worked a pizza oven, a fryer, and a microwave. I've worked one shift in your food truck, and it was a blast. Like,
Dude,
I don't
it's
know
so
what
fun.
it is. It is so much fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is like, I was talking to my friend about literally this exact subject. Is I like the catering and the weddings. First of all, because it's especially weddings, because you get to be a small part of a really, really amazing celebration and the start of somebody's life. And
That's how I feel when I close on a first time home buyer.
Exactly.
Or a married couple that's buying like their first home together.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's
yeah,
a big
yeah,
deal,
yeah.
and it's like, there's so much stress involved in those days, and people are, the last thing they want to worry about is the food. But at the same time, we've all been to enough weddings to know that if the food sucks, you're not going to say a whole lot of good stuff about,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
hey, the DJ was kick ass and the food was amazing.
I just
That's
had a
great
moment
party.
though. I just had a moment where, and I've been married for, oh God, Kate, don't kill me. I think 13 or 14
We'll
years
edit
now.
this. We'll edit this.
I gotta go back. I always gotta go to February and I gotta do my math because I'm not good with numbers. Thanks, Tone. Thanks. But I can remember how that day felt and how you have so many moving parts.
Yes.
And each one of those moving parts, usually there's a person assigned to it, and you are so grateful to those people.
You are. You really
Yeah.
are. And the
Yeah.
thing is it's like, it's so cool. But, the conversation was like, and this is, I don't want this to sound like I don't like catering, because I love catering.
Yeah.
I love catering events, big and small.
When I
But
first
it's-
met you, you were doing football teams.
yes,
I
yes, I
love
did.
that.
I've done
You're
some
doing-
high
or
school.
different high school teams.
Yep,
Yeah,
I've done the Xavier football team. I did the Cedar Rapids Kennedy swim team. Like I've done, and it's cool. It's one of those things that's really neat because, hey, listen, Xavier was undefeated when I cooked, just so you guys are aware. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm saying that's the reason, okay? But, when it's guaranteed money. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, this is the amount, this is the number of people, this is what we've negotiated, this is where we're at, and, that's the guaranteed money. The non-guaranteed, which is the food truck, I just have so much fun in that damn food truck, man. Like, and usually I put somebody else at the window so that way, they're handsome or,
Shout out
better
to
looking.
Steve. Steve, right?
Yeah, Steve.
Shout out
and
to Steve.
Alyssa and Chuck, yes, at the window. And then,
Has Jared Sparrow ever worked the window?
yes,
Jared
he
did?
has.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, dude, guy's a natural. God bless that guy.
Jared will turn it on when he needs to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, that guy, he's the Swiss Army knife of back 40 barbecue. That guy'll do anything and everything, and he does it all good. So,
Yeah.
but like I like to be, I like to cook, man. I'm the one who like makes all this food. I prep it, blah blah blah. But it's like, if I'm sending this stuff out the window, man, it's gotta have the Matt Miller guarantee of quality on it. So, So I like to, but it's like I just get damn excited being back there and flip. I'm like, who the hell would have thought that I'm sitting there like dropping tater tots for our tachos, and you can't wipe the smile off my
The
face.
tachos are amazing. Like when you look at what these things are, Tone, the tachos are, there's, yes.
The messing around is.
Say what?
I love the name.
Tell them what the tachos are.
So basically,
Let's make these people's mouth water.
I'll tell you what. Instead of nachos, instead of the corn chips, we use tortillas. Instead of corn chips, we use tortillas. We use tater tots, deep fried. Then we put a nice cheese sauce on there, and then you get to pick your meat of your choice, whether it's brisket or pulled pork. And then we like to top it with our homemade candied jalapenos. And then I don't put barbecue sauce on anything. I don't put it on any of my food. I let that up to the customer to choose that, because barbecue sauce is a very personal thing. So, good barbecue doesn't need sauce, but if it'll accent it, go ahead.
I like how it's a very personal thing.
It is,
You
man.
can't
I'm telling,
just-
dude. I'm telling you, go to Texas, talk to some of those people about putting barbecue sauce, man. You might as well tell them that the Cowboys suck, which they do. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be careful. It's funny how things are very serious in certain regions of the country, and how people, think about their barbecue and think about their food. It's
it's very regional. Uh-huh.
Very regional. But I'll tell you what, like, but the food truck.
Well,
thing
Kansas
is so
City,
fun.
they're all about the sauce, aren't
Sauce,
they?
buddy.
Kansas City sauce.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Hit the thing there, Tom. So I just want to emphasize something that it sounds frivolous, but I think it's important. So what you're telling me is you had your catering business and you had your smoker, and you guaranteed money on those, and you took a step forward into the food truck because it was fun.
No, it just happened to be fun.
Well,
It just happened to be fun.
no, but I love that though. I love
Yeah.
that, like, you made the decision based on, you're like, I can still make money. It's a little bit, maybe a little bit more risky because I don't have that guaranteed number.
Yeah.
But this is fun, and this is something that, again, something I can be passionate about.
Yes.
And it changes things up a little bit. Like, if you just did catering, who's to say 5 years from now, maybe some of the passion would have gone out of it.
100%.
You know what I mean?
No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And that's the thing is, like, any business, you want to diversify yourself to an extent. And the cool thing is the food truck allows me to be more creative than if I'm doing catering. Because the thing is I don't have a fryer on site, so I'm not going to say, hey, who wants a tacho bar? Like, we're not doing that. I have done a mac and cheese bar though. That was pretty lit at a grad party. That was pretty fun. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I had heard of tachos before, but I'm able to put my spin on it. And we're gonna do this Wednesday in Manchester. We're gonna roll out my my smoked meatloaf sandwich.
Yes.
We're gonna do that bad boy.
I haven't had
on
that
the
yet.
food truck. Tell you what, man, it's so good. It'll make you return
See,
things you didn't
and
steal.
You,
okay?
and you said, was this this episode or last episode, you said there is no barbecue season.
I think it was last
I think it was
episode.
last
but,
episode.
But
You said
there really
is
isn't.
no barbecue season. Well,
No.
but so many people think of like barbecue and they think of summer.
Yep.
But I think of like smoked meatloaf sandwich,
Yep.
your mac and cheese,
Chili.
your baked beans, your chili.
My smoked brisket chili.
That is cold weather comfort food.
Yeah,
right
100% it is. And that's the thing is like it's about adapting a familiar food to seasonality. Because like, you know, before I worked at Target, I worked in another grocery store called Account of Foods. Rest in peace. But
I remember.
us old heads, we remember that stuff. But you look at like the experiences that I've had doing those things, you know, understanding that it's not even when it gets cold outside. It's when the first football game hits.
Do you know how how angry I am about hot weather right now? Because
it's stupid.
It's mid-October. It's going to be mid-October soon.
It's mid-80s.
And it's going to be 80s this week.
Yeah.
I'm so angry about it.
I'm upset, but at the same time,
And I'm going to hate winter by February. But right now,
Yeah.
I want cold weather.
Yeah.
I want sweater weather.
I get it. Hey, you know, I'm wearing a hoodie today, bro. Wearing a hoodie, trying to get the weather gods.
There
But
you go.
the second you start messing with that stuff, then it's going to be a foot of snow on Halloween, and we don't want to play
no
that
kidding.
game.
And then your kids got to wear coats over their costumes. And then
Yes,
crying.
they don't care. They just want the candy. I'm the one who'll be crying. But all right, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the fun, passion,
Yeah.
the food truck.
Yes.
And you kind of had graduated. So you worked in your dad's friend's food truck for like 4 shifts.
3 or 4 shifts.
3 or 4
yes.
shifts. Okay.
Yes. And the cool thing is like on the very last day that he was doing it, I want to say it was either Halloween or the day before Halloween. I asked him, I was like, hey, is there a chance where I could bring in like some of my smoked mac and cheese to serve on the truck? Like I didn't, you know, I did it. I just made it. I offered it up. I didn't charge anybody for, you know what I mean? It was just one of the, I just let them have it be as part of one of their sides. Because I wanted people to start, because one of my goals, because I'm from Manchester, that's where I grew up. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to have an opportunity to semi-regularly be able to be back there. And you know, it's a great community, and it's fun to go back and serve. So
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, so you know, we did the whole thing, and I officially purchased it last November, and then I had it in storage at my brother-in-law's farm, right? So I was able to pay for it, which
Applause, Tone. Applause.
was huge. Woo, baby. Love it. Love it. But yeah, so we were able to buy that, put it in storage for the winter, and then met a local painter that was able to sand everything down and paint it the black that I wanted. It was silver
Looks
previously.
great. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And then found somebody in Marion who was able to do the decals for me. Gosh, I feel so bad because I don't remember their names. I want to give them shout outs, but it was, we started up and running the very first time in May. And I had met Nikki and Brian Guild, who are the owners of Sweet Cheesecake. Kind of befriended them. I didn't remember it, but my wife had bought me cheesecake from when she was still doing stuff out of her house. And her cheesecake, it's the truth. Like, it is so freaking good. But she had bought stuff for my birthday out of the house, and eventually we ended up meeting. They're lovers of barbecue. They lived in Kansas City for 10 years. So, you know, they know barbecue, they know good barbecue, and they tried my stuff, and they were like, would you ever be interested in having your food truck here? And I was like, oh, yes, I would. Like, I don't even think they finished getting the sentence out of their mouth. And I was like, yeah, yes, I would. And, you know, they're kind of the ones who kind of gave me that first opportunity to set up and to do the thing. And they're awesome people. Like, as great a business as they run, and as awesome as their product is, they're better people. I have so much respect for them, and I appreciate how much they've done for me in our business. But you know, it's like I said, you want to diversify. You don't want to necessarily be a one-trick pony, but that doesn't mean you still want to stay true to your principles. You want to stay simple. Just because you diversify into maybe a couple other things doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to change like who and what you are. You still have to remain consistent to your process. And, you know, I didn't open a food trailer and all of a sudden start serving banh mi sandwiches out of it or anything like that. Like, I mean, I'm a barbecue guy, you know, and I've learned through some of the things that I'm doing that, you know, I can do some things that are kind of outside of that box. Like we do our smash burgers, and they've been insanely popular. And I was just worried. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be the smash burger king.
Can you smoke? Have you ever thought of figuring out a way to smoke that?
I've smoked burgers.
Yeah.
But I haven't done a smash burger would be kind of tough because you would
because
be able to put it on there for very long.
Right,
I'd be
exactly.
like, okay, well, we're done.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't get that nice crust on there, and but you know, there's.
Have you done a smash burger with some brisket on it or with a little pulled pork?
So I've done, so we do one that's called the Mountain.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah.
So it's, you know, and all my smash patties are 3rd pound. I do a bigger burger on those but we do a 3rd pound patty with cheese. And then we do our smoked mac and cheese, our pulled pork, and I top it off with a handful of tater tots. And I should probably throw in some, I don't know, some kind of heartburn meds. Because
I thought you were going to say I need to throw my pickled jalapenos on top.
No, dude. Yeah. And then free roll of toilet paper along with it. But like, I guess my whole thing is like creative, but I want people to feel like they're getting their money's worth. And I like that sort of stuff.
And also, you know, the food truck can really serve your catering business too, because if you have people that go to the food truck and, you know, maybe with the catering, they're like, oh, I want pulled pork, I want mac and cheese, I want baked beans. Right. And then they go to your food truck and they try the Mountain and they're like, is there a way you could mass produce these, like 20 of them or something like that? Or like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like almost like instead of, you know, your stuff's amazing, but instead of seeing the same thing every time, it gives you some ideas of how you could like diversify in the catering aspect of your business as well, right?
And it's been vice versa too, because I've had, I don't know how many caterings, even the wedding this last weekend, because you know you always put out business cards because you're if I have a wedding and one person contacts me out of however many people that grab one, it's worth it, you know. And the thing is making so many contacts, and we always get, you know, so many great compliments, and but I'll have how many people be like, will come up and ask me, do you have a food truck? Mm-hmm. And you know, it's. Yes.
And you don't want to say no. Like, you know, what if you did? What if they come to you now and you don't have a food truck? And you're like, no, I'm sorry. Exactly. And all of a sudden they're like, all right, well, it'd be nice if you did. You know what I mean? But,
exactly. Yeah. No. And like I said, we've been blessed because I think my initial goal was to hopefully have like a food truck, food trailer situation within the first couple of years. Mm-hmm. You know, I kind of gave myself a 2-year goal, and we did it in less than a year. So, you know, obviously it's one of those things where you have an opportunity and you got to grab it by the horns. And I mean, obviously, if it was a situation where it's like, hey, a food trailer, if I'm going to get this situation, it's going to be $50,000. That's not going to happen. You know, I didn't have that kind of equity. I didn't have that kind of liquidity to be able to do that. And, you know, it's like I said, there's just been so many things that have kind of fallen into place for me to be successful from a standpoint of having like the best support system, the best friends, you know, my family, just everything is just kind of fallen into place for me where it feels like this is definitely what I should be doing. It's as much as it is a career choice, but it's a calling because I love to serve. I think that food, like I said before, I think food is community, it's family, it's love. It's one of the ways that I show that I love somebody is being able to cook a good meal for them. That's it. A lot of times, and it's going to sound ridiculous because obviously this is my job, but I get more satisfaction out of seeing people happy and the compliments and that than even like the paycheck. The paycheck, don't get me wrong, I'm going to do it for free, but I love making people happy.
Hit the thing, Tone. So that was if it and I think that this is I think you could have this you could argue this, but I would say what you're saying is it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
If it feels right, keep doing it.
Yep.
And I think that because if it feels right to you, the small business owner, whatever your business is, if it feels right, then keep moving forward. And what I would say is if your business is failing, it's not going to feel right. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now, I'm not saying like super successful, but I'm saying like if it feels right and if you're going in a direction that you believe in, and even if your business isn't booming, but people are coming on board and you're getting that support and people aren't being like, dude, you're really sure you'd be doing this? If it feels right, just keep moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I would say if it doesn't feel right, then you're probably not doing something that's true to you.
Correct. You're either not doing something true to you or you're being stubborn and not willing to change. Because there's, the thing is we did, like, I do smoked wings and I think they're great. And we did them on the truck the one time. And I think I did up like 200 and some wings. And then we flash fried whatever. And I think we sold like 36.
Oh,
It's like,
jeez. Yeah.
I haven't been doing wings for a while.
Well,
But like when and some of it is because it's like people hadn't necessarily tried a whole lot of that, and it's like because for example, when I did the Super Bowl last year, I had people pick up orders. I sold 1,400 wings.
I was gonna say like that sounds so. So maybe what you could do. I think wings are really tough, right?
Yeah.
I'm 50-50 on if I'm going to like a place's wings or not. There have been places where I'll eat their wings and I'm like, not for me. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Famous Dave's is one of them. Sorry, Famous Dave's. Or not Famous Dave's. Not Famous Dave's.
Unfamous.
No. What's the place that's in Des Moines?
Jethro's.
Jethro's. And I love Jethro's. So I'm not throwing Jethro's under the bus here. And I think that there are people that love their smoked wings. I don't love their smoked wings. And it's not because I don't like smoked wings. I just don't like their smoked wings.
Right.
And so I think with the wings, it's like when they're looking at the menu, wings are there's risk there.
Oh, 100%.
If they haven't had your wings before, it's like, okay, am I gonna like them?
Right.
And am I gonna drop the money on something I don't know if I'm gonna like or not?
Exactly. Yep. No, 100%. And that's the thing is like
You should like throw in a free wing with like the next time you had a food truck, you throw in a free wing. Like, hey, just let me know if you like that.
You want to be my marketing guy? But no, and that's the thing is like, so when we did that rendezvous the first time, I actually had hired people. Like I had 2 people who literally were giving out little sample cups of my pulled pork to people in line.
Nice.
And I was like, we had 35 people waiting in line.
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away by that. And that's what, like you had asked before, like that's when I kind of knew that this could be a thing, because I was like, holy cow, like we consistently had one of, if not the longest lines. And I was like, man, these people don't know me from anybody.
Right.
And then, this next year, it was bigger. Even with the weather being kind of cruddy, 'cause it rained for, the first bit of the morning and whatnot. It was fantastic. So, I have been very much embraced by the Marion and Cedar Rapids communities, and people have been great to me. So, I always looking for ways to help and give back and things like that. Because one of the things that Thyron and I had talked about in our very long drive to Memphis was finding ways for intentional giving, not just giving willy-nilly, but intentional giving. And one of the things, in working for Target, I think one of the things that I highly respected from them is they give 5% of their income back to helping communities, charitable work, that sort of thing. So, once I'm at a point where I'm able to do more of that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Is I want to be able to give back, just because the things that I do now are, and I'm not looking for praise or anything but like I'll if I have some have some extra food or something from a food trailer, I'll put it up on Facebook and I just give it away, and it's like a whole pan of smoked mac, maybe that helps somebody. Maybe
smoked mac and cheese is amazing. It's good.
It's good stuff, but it's like, I first of all, you don't want food to go to waste. I don't want to have something and be like, oh my God, I'm not gonna throw this in a dump. Like,
Right.
what a waste. Somebody could do something with it. So, but I want to get to the point where I'm able to do more intentional giving, and there's definitely organizations that pull at my heartstrings, especially things for kids, that I would love to be able to do some stuff with. And I'm hoping in the future, as we continue to grow and we're able to do that at a sustainable level, that I'm able to give back to things that are very, very important to me.
And I think that is another great thing. I mean, not only like the giving part, the giving piece especially, but I think it's so important to be engaged in your community.
Yes.
I think a lot of people will start their business and then they sit there in their business and it's almost like they're working in a vacuum because they aren't out there networking.
Correct.
They aren't getting involved in their community. We aren't, and it's just, and again, it's like if you get out there and you get involved, people will happily get involved with you
Right.
in what you're into. So I think that's great. So I think we're kind of close to a good like stopping point for episode 2 of the process. So I did it on for episode 1. I want to do it on episode 2. So I'm a movie guy, and I think books are amazing. I think people should be reading a book a month. And so let's start off with this week's or this month's book of the month. And it's a book that changed my way of thinking about money. I was very much, before I got into real estate, I was very much a 9-to-5er, weekly paycheck. I get paid, and this is how I'm paying my mortgage, and this is how I'm keeping the lights on. And the money just very much, it just went to a very specific thing. And then the rest of it, I spent, The book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Tone's got it. Tone's read. Have you read that one yet?
I have not read it, but I'm very familiar with it.
It's been around for forever. I remember, a little TMI here. I remember it was like on the toilet at my dad's house. I remember he had a copy of it, And I remember like I'm thumbing through and being like, what? And then Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's a very easy read. He does focus a lot on, Robert Kiyosaki did a lot with real estate, which works well for me in my industry. But I think that the thing that it really does is it makes you think about money differently, and money is a tool, not necessarily as something that you need to spend as soon as you get it.
It working for you, not you working for it.
Exactly. So Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then a movie that just, I don't know, I do know why, because it's about innovation, but a movie that gets me fired up about business. Like every time I watch this movie, I'm like, I want to get an Instagram post out there, or I want to do something. I want to get some mailers out. I want to get read. The Founder, with Michael Keaton, about the founder of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's.
Yes.
Now it does not paint Ray Kroc in the best light by the end of the movie.
It does not.
But I will say it's a biopic about a complicated guy, and you are definitely in his corner at the beginning of the movie,
100%.
because he's going from town to town. He's trying to sell the milkshake mixers, milkshake machines, and then like he's just very innovative, and he knows what he wants, and he goes after it. Now, I don't necessarily, again, it does not paint him in the best light by the end of the movie, and he was kind of a by hook or by crook kind of guy, which I don't think is anything that any of us really want to embody. But he definitely saw a goal and went after it, and that movie does get me like worked up and ready to go when it comes to like business. So
entrepreneurial spirit, buddy.
Yes, sir. So Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad for the book of the month, and The Founder with Michael Keaton for the movie of the month. That being said, key takeaways from this episode. It's about collaboration, not competition. It's about always having fun.
Yes.
You mentioned diversify a lot. This, and I think diversify is a really, really good thing to think about. You aren't a one-trick pony.
Right.
But stay true to yourself.
Yes.
Know what you know about yourself, and know what you're good at, and try to figure out how you can fit that into as many different, pots as you can, I guess.
Right.
And then finally, if it feels right, keep doing it. Keep moving forward. You'll get it eventually. So for episode 3, we will. I want to be having a guest on, somebody who has seen success in the food industry and in the food truck, and now has their own restaurant. So I will keep that kind of under wraps until we record episode 3. But for now, thank you so much for listening to The Process. You can find me on Instagram at Tim Nash Realtor. You can find me on YouTube at Tim Nash Realtor, on Facebook at Tim Nash Realtor. You can find Matt on Facebook at
Back 40 Barbecue.
How do you do that? Because I've looked up Back 40 Barbecue on Facebook before, and I've been sent to like another Back 40 Barbecue.
All right, so here's the easiest thing: is we're in Iowa. My logo is the state of Iowa.
There you go.
Back 40 Barbecue on it. So,
Yep.
because I have found that there's definitely one in Ohio, and I definitely have followers from Ohio, and people sure mess up the states of Iowa and Ohio, Iowa.
Oh, jeez. You keep those followers, Matt.
Oh, I'm keeping them, brother. That's funny though. It's funny.
For the second time, we are recording out of T1 Entertainment. I would like to thank Tone. Anthony Tone DeBoss. Chalmers, right?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Antonio.
Antonio. Boo. See, that's why he got me so used to call him Tone. Like, I was like, you want me to call him Tone? He's like, call me Tone. I'm like, okay. Well, now I forgot his other damn name. I don't think it's fair that he gets to control the sound effects sometimes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you check us out for episode 3 of The Process. Thanks so much.